The Diary of Dr. X, Under the Osborne Street Bridge, Episode 1. Give me a sec. Hey guys, I said to the group of people and a dog sitting in the middle of the walkway in the Osborne Village Green, also known as the Dark Park to the street people. It's located on Stradbrook Avenue, just a little west of Osborne Street. I recognize 3 of them, including the dog, despite the night, but I hadn't been formally introduced to any of them to that point. I thought I was probably just going to pass by. Hey, the big one said, "Want to stop and join us for a hoot? I'm just about to roll up some roaches." It's only been spring, and I was still in the early stages of my unfunded participant observation study of the culture of the street people in the Osborne Village area in the summer of 2010. It's what cultural anthropologists do when we study people. We live like them. I wasn't spending 6 to 8 hours a day picking up cigarette butts and beer cans for no reason, though. And so I agreed, because I was poor. I sat down, cross-legged on the paving stones with the group, my back pan full of beer cans slung over one shoulder. We visited as the roach joint was rolled up, told each other our stories, that sort of thing. The tall guy and his petite girlfriend, well, they introduced themselves as Shaggy and Mindy. And the dog is Scooby-Doo. I recognized them as panhandlers. And the pop culture associations, as I suppose you probably do too. Shaggy and Mindy, Scooby-Doo. The little guy, he introduced himself as Kurt Cobain. He looked a lot like him, actually. He also had wares for sale, though I won't say what kind. The big guy's name, I've totally forgotten. Though I recall he was just back from Vancouver. I guess it's one of those homeless who moves around a lot, a traveler they call them. So I only ever saw him again a couple times the following week, once sleeping in the alley just behind the zoo. As you've probably noticed, most people who work or live in the street don't go by their given names. They use aliases. So how to introduce myself to the crew? Well, I'm Dr. X, I said. And yes, I assured them, in answer to their questions, because they did have some, I did have a PhD in social science. Just fallen on hard times. For quite some time now, actually. Why Dr. X? Maybe because he was a fictional character I once wrote a short story about under another pen name of mine, Dudgeon. That character had a lot in common with me, actually. Never published that one, though. Nor the poem he was in, either. I did publish some of my other fictional poetry under that name, Dudgeon. And a speculative fiction anthology called Satirica, which you can find online if you Google it. Or maybe, and this made me think, maybe Mindy was right when she asked me a couple months later in the parking lot behind the TD Bank while we were having some beers together. This is what she said. "Are you really an ex-doctor?" I hadn't really thought of it that way before, my AKA, I mean. But she had a point. Maybe I was, with no full-time teaching position, 7 years after graduation, after my PhD. Maybe I was ex-doctor and not Dr. X. Well, stupid me to have taken that PhD from the only department of anthropology in the continent of North America that has such a low reputation of its own reputation that it refuses to hire its own graduates. That would be my beloved alma mater, the University of Manitoba. Put that together with the low demand for cultural anthropologists generally, and particularly those who specialize in, well, radical ecology is what they call it. I call it realistic ecology. And what do you get? An unemployed academic sitting in the public park, smoking roaches with the other street people before he cashes in his beer cans, buys a six-pack. Oh, where's my beer? There it is. And goes home and gets drunk. All the while, trying to treat the whole experience as academic research, of course. Some of my best scores that summer were under the Osborne Street Bridge. That was where Shaggy celebrated his birthday, actually, due to the pouring rain that day. I got at least $4 in cans off that little party. There was a good bunch of people down there. May have missed some, as I do have lots of competition, especially in summer. Another time, I found a tobacco tin with over $5 in pennies in it, and one nickel, as I remember. Just one. Tucked high on the concrete support just below the span of the bridge. I am still somehow able to maintain a bank account, so I dutifully rolled them up and turned them into beer too. Later, in fall, I found almost $3 in pennies, just scattered on the concrete down there. You see, and you might find this surprising, but the street people don't make use of pennies. They just toss them on the pavement, or leave them on a payphone or a light stand or something, sometimes stacked up, sometimes scattered. So I gather them up and cash them in. In midsummer, I swear, and for the last couple of years now, I was averaging about a roll per week from scavenging the places the other street people worked. I called them pennies from heaven. Best score, though, I found in mid-July, the hottest part of summer. This was strange, actually, as it was totally out of season. It was a heavy winter leather jacket, black, from Danier. Nice name. It was in great condition, too. Just one small tear near the cuff of one sleeve. I like that. As I write this, it's getting cold out, though, and I've already pulled it out a few times and put it on. So if you ever see a well-dressed man in a nice black leather jacket trolling the streets of the Osborne village this winter for cigarette butts and beer cans, it just might be Dr. X. He does accept charity, but he will never ask for it, except from family, at least not in person. He still has some pride, at least a little anyways. Hell, he's taught over 29 courses at the University of Winnipeg and Manitoba over the last 10 years on a freelance basis, picking up beer cans and butts intermittently the entire way. May even be teaching your kids when this reaches publication or airs on the internet, because he's still on the market. And remember, as one of my street friends suggested during a little party in the back alley just the other day, behind the Manitoba Housing Tower on Stradbrook, just a little ways east of the fire department building. We're not alcoholics or drunks. Alcoholics go to meetings because they have a problem with it. Couldn't have said it better Alright, so. Good night.